Everyone online says you need to scale with a course. And I say, sell the damn service. I'm Emily Williams, award-winning consultant and Productize offer expert since 2014. And I'm here to help you work less, make more, and stop custom building your burnout. Each week, we talk strategy, structure, and the real stories behind sustainable service businesses. You know, from service providers who like doing service work, who want to stay in service work, but also just make more money. If you're ready for all that yapping, then let's dive in. Okay, y'all know I talk about productization all of the time. All of the time. It's in my bio. It's in my authority anchor. I'm bringing the word back. It is the hill I will die on about productization. And if you're brand new, like the very, very quick, concise definition of how I use productization and what it means in the ecosystem of my work and how it can apply to service providers. And it's important we get a refresh on this definition before I go into the topic of this episode. So stick with me. Productization, how I look at it, is not just creating a signature service. A lot of people think it's just creating a signature service. And in fact, what it is I look at the ecosystem of your business delivery, right? The delivery, the onboarding, the selling, the retention, the scaling up, the messaging of your offer. And we productize the ecosystem of all of that, right? So everything starts with the authority anchor. What it is, what is it that you want to be known for? What is it that the result that particular container provides, right? And then we work backwards and we build that container. And then we work backwards and then we build that client experience and bring in systems and tech and automations and tools and people and structure in order to support owner delivery, right? In order to support the founder being able to be in the one-on-one spaces, the strategic spaces that they want to be in, that is kind of required to be in as a service provider. And we streamline and automate and systematize what we can so that we can buy back some of your time. Because as a service provider, every single one of us hit a capacity at some point. We cannot make any more money because we cannot serve any more clients. We cannot serve any more clients because we don't have any time, right? So the only way we can do that is buy back that time, and we do that through productization, okay? A big core element of productization is being able to create a repeatable framework, a method, a structure where every single person who goes through this container gets the same onboarding form, the same welcome email, the same kickoff call scheduler, the same, first phase, so to speak. They get the same structure of getting assets from you or being able to provide feedback or approval or communicating with you, right? What we can make the same, we make the same. It's not 100%, right? Because this is service work and a lot of us have custom and bespoke services. And so it's not everything, but my God, if you are to productize 40% of that, of the ecosystem of that is your time that you're getting back. Could you serve 1 to 3 more clients because of that 40% win? Probably, right? And so what does that do now to your revenue? Okay. So that's the overall scheme of productization. So because that is a common thread, what's repeatable, right? What's the structure? Meaning it's the same name, it's the same scope, it's the same assets, it's the same time frame, it's the same price. It's the same price, right? That is critical. And as much as those elements are critical to be repeatable and sustainable and productized and yada, yada, because that is the element that buys back your time in order for you to increase your capacity, which can increase your revenue, right? It's all a chain reaction. The repeatability of the structure is what I want to talk about today. Oftentimes, people think, and maybe you don't think this. I think some people do. That I'm going to come in and I'm going to say, automate everything, remove yourself from everything. You get negative points if you send a custom proposal ever again in your business, and you're doing it wrong. And it's not, if you're doing a non-sustainable way, then your business isn't going to scale. And if you've ever thought that, not just from me, but especially from me, if you've ever thought that's going to be the result or the way in which we work together, I really want you to recognize that that voice isn't even your voice. That voice is the voice of every marketer you follow on Instagram and on Threads and on TikTok that is preaching about a one-to-many model. That is the voice of every single low price digital offer or every single coach who coaches coaches in the unethical way. That is their message. And it feels like your voice because it has been ingrained in our pores over the past 10 to 15 years when courses got popular, when passive income got popular, when scale to 17 figures in your sleep got popular, right? It's not your voice. Know that. And if that is coming up for you, I am encouraging you to think of there could be a different reality here. And that reality is that service work is scalable when it's designed right. Service work can make you the kind of money that you want it to make you in your wildest dreams, right? I was on a call the other day with a service provider who says, sometimes I feel like I'm like kind of teetering on both sides because I'm a service provider and I want to stay a service provider and I want to stay high touch and I want a 7-figure business. And I said, yeah, great. Let's go make that happen. We start with productizing, right? And then visibility and maybe some content. And there's a whole slew of things that we can kind of deploy to make that happen, right? But it starts with productization because right now you can want a 7-figure business, a 500K service, an agency, whatever it is, you can want that. And if you do not have the time to even think about how it could come together or hire the right person to help you make it happen, or when you hire that person, do the work that is going to still be needed to make that happen, you have to productize first, period. Okay? Okay, so that's that tangent. This isn't even what this episode is about. What I do want to talk to you about is if you ever thought that like I'm going to sit there and say, don't ever send a custom proposal ever again, I want to let you in on a secret. Yesterday, I sent 2 custom proposals, and I'm not even talking about to my consultant side. If you don't know, I kind of consider my business as 2 branches. They provide the same result, the exact same result. One is done with you and for service providers who want to scale their service business. And the other is for consultants who need me to come in and install those systems, right? So that they can have their data talking to each other. They can make data informed decisions. They can understand their client experience when they serve their clients, right? And that it's set up for their team to deliver and the owner to get out of every decision. Cool? Okay, same result, different audience. One is very much integrator, implementer. I'm in your business doing it. And the other is I'm right alongside with you, right? I'm riding shotgun, you're driving. Okay. So what has happened in the past few weeks is that I've been having some conversations with a type of client. And if you're watching this on video, I'm holding up my hands, like consulting side is on one side, SOS client is on the other. I've been having conversations with someone who's right in the middle. They are not in the budget of my consultant clients with a team and their like businesses, raking in, right? They're not there, but they're not over here either on the ideal client for sold out services. They are someone who might not even have a quote unquote signature service or something close to it. They have decades of experience being a coach or selling digital products or consulting or working in corporate, right? And they know they can launch with services and scale pretty quickly, replace their income or bring in additional income, right? Meet revenue goals if they stick with services, right? They also know that because they're coming to the table with 10 or 15 or 20 years of experience, that they can get there faster if they have someone riding shotgun telling them, oh, turn here. Oh, apply pressure here, right? spoiler alert, that someone is me. And I know, based on how they're asking questions, based on what they have in place and what they don't have in place, based on the results that they want, the network that they have, that they need someone kind of sharing the driver's seat with them for a little bit, not just riding shotgun. If SOS is I'm riding shotgun, what is the tandem bicycle version of this analogy, right? So I thought for a minute, okay, so the conversation came up a couple weeks ago and I was like, oh, that's an interesting thought. I almost think that person should be for SOS, but not quite. Like they need a little bit more support, right? Then another conversation came up and I had the same thought. And then I had 2 back-to-back disco calls where the people, I was like, I couldn't paint a better picture of who is the tandem bicycle person in need of SOS and strategic advisory, right? That hybrid blend of almost a consultant with strategist, right? With relying on a method that I've already perfected, that I've already created, that I've already outlined, what's a little bit more handholding in the good way. And I say that non-derogatory. And so got off the call. They were back to back. So I got off a call. Oh, I had 15 or 20 minutes in between. So in that break, I kind of sat with this information and I looked at SOS and I said, if I craft a custom proposal for them, I'm going to just be using all of SOS, like all of it. We're going to use this worksheet. We're going to use this calculator. We're going to use this framework, right? Okay, so why don't I just pitch them SOS? They need more though. They want, marketing and content planning. They want quarterly strategic reviews. They want deeper dive of postmortems of what worked and what didn't. What do we need to refine? What do I need to be looking out for? What do I need to be looking ahead for? Because and I've said this before, but like my favorite thing is being, 1 to 3 years ahead of someone, where they want the same result that I got, and being able to kind of, it feels like big sisterly, right? Where it's like, hey, I've already done this before and here's what you cannot do, or here's what you should double down on, or here's what we could try now, right? Based on the foundation of what worked. And so in having those conversations, I knew that they would want more of that, more of like, pick your brain. What did Emily do? Blah, 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 right? So instead of creating another offer where I'm basically copy and pasting 99% of what is in the current offer, I said, okay, well, if this is the wireframe, if SOS is the wireframe of what they need, and it's the methodology, it's the framework, it's the IP of what they need, then really the only thing extra we're talking about here is a little bit more strategic planning and advisory at the end of the day. Yeah. And so within minutes, I was able to basically duplicate my entire checkout for sold out services. I added an advisory angle, like an advisory upgrade to the cost, broke it down into payments because I think it's great to have options, and recorded a Loom video. And I said, hey, here it is. You've been in my world. You know about sold out services. You know about productization. This is what we talked about. Here's the method of how to apply that. And here's the extra support that you're going to get because I think you need it. And here's exactly what that support is. It's quarterly calls. It's a kickoff and planning session. It's a marketing blueprint. It's a content creation game plan, right? I can't remember what I called it, but it's that, right? And here's how we can achieve both. And here's how you can get the tandem bicycle level of support because you need it. But that isn't available to everyone. It's invite only, one, because I have my own capacity, right? Because guess what? I'm still a service provider. And even though I've drastically increased my capacity in certain areas in the last 12 months, that the strategic advisory and planning area, it still has a limit. And so I was open about that. And there's also a space of the SOS plus strategic advisory isn't for people who are a perfect fit for SOS, but they just want more access to me. That is not the delineation. Because if you're a perfect fit for SOS, but you're not going to enroll because you want more one-on-one access to me, then you're not a perfect fit for SOS. SOS is for asynchronous work. For I can have autonomy enough to understand a strategy and digest it, apply it in the resource that Emily has provided, submit that resource for review, and then move forward. There's plenty of support in the group, don't get me wrong. Unlimited support tickets 24/7. Milestone reviews. Every single pillar that you submit work, I put my eyeballs on, give you feedback, make revisions, provide suggestions, and then you can apply it and move forward. Implementation checklist for you to make sure that the work that you just created actually lives somewhere or is applied somewhere, installed somewhere, right? I've also introduced mid-cohort bi-weekly Q&A calls, open house 30 minutes every other Thursday. Come, ask a question, screen share. Let's work something out together. I'm going to be answering support tickets either way. If no one shows up, that's 30 minutes for me to answer support tickets. But every time, people have shown up. And they're so immensely helpful, right? You get responses back from me in Loom videos, in audio messages, in typed long formats. If I'm going to write up a script for you, like it's so in depth, and for the price, truly, it's insane. I don't know why it's still $2,500. I have talked about, and I'm raising the price in Q4 of 2026. So be ready for that. But if you look at all of that and say, no, but I just need more one-on-one support in order to be held accountable, that is a red flag for me for 1,000 reasons. I hate that word. But specifically for people who can put the pedal to the metal really quickly, make intentional action happen, and pivot with strategy, who aren't starting with a clear offer, but are 2 seconds away from being able to just pick up the phone and say, hey, I have this new thing. Do you want to buy it? And they'll do it and they'll convert, right? For those people specifically, that SOS plus strategic advisory is perfect for them, right? It isn't accountability. It's, I want the shortcut. I want what did you actually do to get this result? And then I know I'm going to go do that exact thing. SOS, some of the marketing and lead gen that you all are doing, they're very different and they work for you. We definitely talk about lead gen and conversion strategies, but you have your own method of what you feel comfortable with, of what your current audience kind of jives with, right? But the people who are kind of, more of an ideal fit for the upgraded tier, so to speak, they have a really good network and they know right now that they could email, text, call, have coffee with a handful of people, and they could land a client next week if they had the clarity on what to say in that conversation and then what to offer them, right? It's those people that this kind of upgraded version is perfect for. And so I say all of this to say, not to just pitch you both versions, LOL, but to let you know that even the queen of productization sends custom proposals sometimes. But the filter system, the checklist system that I have, where it has to be like question and it dings and it dings and it dings, or giant red flag alert, right? All of that is so streamlined now because I've been doing this for 15 years, where it's in my head, where I can very clearly tell, ooh, this person's going to be great for this. This person is just asking for accountability. They're not going to be a good fit. I can tell that from a mile away. I can smell it of someone in a discovery call, right? I know that. I bet you know that too within your own ideal clients. And so my point being is that I'm encouraging you to continue to hold space for the bespoke, for the nuanced, for the custom. But I hope that you heard my bespoke and my custom was my main core ideology IP framework shifted 5%, right? It had on a sprinkle. I just added on whipped cream and a cherry. That's it. The core sundae remains the same. And that's what I want you to start looking at in your containers, not reinventing the wheel from scratch every time and hitting reset and starting over with a blank page. We're not doing that. We're saying, here's what I know provides a result. Can this person get the result if they had 5% difference in this package? If yes, then it might be worth creating a custom offer for. Because it took me 3 minutes to control copy, command paste that offer, that checkout page. I added one section that described the strategic support. I tweaked the payment plans and the amounts, and then I recorded a Loom video ×2 and sent it over. I sent another one today. So there's technically 3 proposals out there right now for this bespoke offer that I was very clearly shown who was going to be an ideal fit for. So this isn't you make a bespoke proposal and you're not a sustainable business owner. Fuck that noise. That isn't even your voice. Okay? Call it out for what it is and say, you are not welcome here. Boss girl from 2016, you are not welcome here. Because that voice will lead you astray so many fucking times, it's not even funny. I want you to start to hear your voice. See the patterns in your clients and in your work, right? I can certainly help pull out those patterns for you. But ultimately, even after SOS, even inside SOS, it's your responsibility to hold to what is true and not give power to the girl boss voice that's in your brain, who's speaking strategies that are a decade old and don't work, and listen to yours. You know the answer. You might not have the structure, you might not have the framework, you might not have the clarity, but you know the answer. Because you're a smart business owner and you've gotten really far, and you should be proud of yourself for that. So, if this lands for one person, great. Maybe this is just a tangent I had in my brain. Let me know if it resonated. And the doors to sold out services are technically always open. The sales page is technically live. This invite only version truly is, I'm pegging certain very specific people who are getting on discovery calls with me. And we're going to be rolling into a more public launch of sold out services in the coming weeks. Truly, I think 2 or 3 weeks from now. Yeah. So stay tuned. I would love to welcome you inside the program if it makes sense for you. Chat with you about it if it makes sense. See what's next for you as a service provider looking to scale, looking to buy back some of your time, and ready to use what keeps you in service work, but in a way that feels aligned. Hey, thank you so much for listening to this episode of Sell the Damn Service. I'm really honored that you spent however many minutes you just did with me. Now, if you could go do me a very quick favor and be sure to like, subscribe, leave a rating and a review for this podcast over on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, or, pick your favorite platform. I'm not going to be that choosy. It truly means the world to me. It's how little tiny shows that are like mine, that are self-funded and, being edited in between dinner time and school pickup, it helps us get seen. It's free for you to do and takes just a couple of minutes. And I would love you forever if I could send you an edible arrangement as a big thank you. I would. So instead, consider this giant thank you directed just at you for going to do that. And share this episode or this podcast with a friend who needs to hear it. I love ranting and raving about service-based business strategies. And, I think more people should listen to this show, honestly. So I appreciate you. Thank you so much. I really, really, really am grateful that you're here, and we will chat very soon.